Hey there, this is Melody Shuman with Melody Shuman Breaks It Down. This is my 12th podcast episode, and today we're going to talk about the benefit of making choices. This is one of the best ways that you can empower your child or your student or your athlete and help them develop better responsibility, which leads to better self-discipline. And obviously that is a goal that everybody wants to have for children, is to help them become better versions of themselves. So today I want to talk about 3 different topics revolved around how choices can help children become better versions of themselves. The first one is talking about engaging children in the decision-making process. When you engage children in any type of decision-making process, it helps build better responsibility. So to give you an example, at home, giving your child decisions in what vegetable you're going to have for dinner that night. You know, a lot of children don't like vegetables, so you can give them 3 options. Would you like to have broccolini, asparagus, or Brussels sprouts with dinner tonight? Engaging them in those choices not only helps them build better responsibility, but it also gets them more excited about the actual process. You know, another example would be for chores. So instead of telling them, you have to clean your room, and then I want you to go rake the playground, and then I want you to pick up all the toys that you can find all over the yard. Well, obviously, children just don't like to be told what to do, right? So if you make a list, here are the 3 things that you need to get done today, and then let them choose which one they want to do first, which one they want to do second, which one they want to do last, you're going to get them a little bit more excited about the process. You know, the same thing can go on if you're a teacher at school. Let's say, for example, the kids are a little bit out of bounds that day, and you really want them to focus. So instead of threatening them with a punishment, you could say, tell you what, guys, I'm going to get you guys involved in a deal to help you be a little bit more focused. So today, what I'd like you to do is choose which seat you want to sit in. You can choose to sit next to one of your very good friends. You can choose to sit next to the window. You can choose to sit in the back of the class or the front of the class, wherever you want to be. And we're going to work on some of our assignments. So once they choose where they want to sit, that's going to get them a little bit more excited about the process as well. Another example would be if, say, for example, you have a desk assignment that they have to do. And let's use an example. They have 10 math problems. Instead of saying, okay, I want you to do all 10 math problems from beginning to end, you can tell them you have to get these 10 problems done within the next 10 minutes. And you could start with number 1 and work your way forwards. You could do the problems backwards. You could do all the odd problems first and then the even problems, or you can do all the even problems, then the odd problems. Again, getting them involved in those choices helps develop much better responsibility and gets them a little bit more excited. Let's use an example for if you're a coach and you're doing calisthenics. And let's say they have to do 20 push-ups, 20 squat jumps, 20 leg raises, and 20 jumping jacks. Instead of you all going through all the exercises together, you can let them choose. Okay, these are what we have to do, and you get to pick what you want to do first. You could do jumping jacks, leg raises, squat jumps, or push-ups first. You just have to get them all done within the next 10 minutes. So getting them involved in that process definitely helps them build better responsibility because they're going to be more motivated that way. Another example we use in a martial arts class, let me give you an example. Let's say we have our preteens and teens, and it's a day where they have to work on their forms. For those of you that don't know, forms is like a pattern, a collection of martial arts movements that they have to do. And it develops really good muscle memory. It develops really good versatility. But not every single student always likes to do forms over and over again. It becomes a little bit redundant to some students, and it could get very boring. So we make it exciting in class. For example, we'll have 4 stations set up. And we'll say, okay, you can go in corner number 1 and do your form backwards. Corner number 2, you're doing your form with weights. Corner number 3 is going to be where you can practice your form speed form. And corner number 4, you practice your form backwards. And then let them pick which way they want to practice their form first. Let them do it for 5 minutes. Then say, switch. Now I want you to pick a different corner. This helps develop really good responsibility because they're still working on their form, but they're choosing how they want to practice it. So tip number 1 on the benefits of making choices is to get them involved in the decision-making process. Let's switch gears now. Let's talk about tip number 2 as far as it relates to children and choices. Tip number 2 would be helping them reflect on behavior choices. When disruptive behavior is thought of as a learning opportunity rather than a punishment opportunity, then everybody wins. This is very important, especially if you're going to help them develop good self-discipline. Remember, not every kid is born with a manual. No kid is born with a manual or handbook that says, this is how you're supposed to behave when this happens. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a son and daughter, and they are both getting in a fight, and the younger daughter breaks your brother's Lego castle, and he is devastated. First instincts may be to yell at your daughter, put her in timeout, and give her a long lecture on how breaking your son's Lego castle was wrong and bad. Now, obviously, this is going to let her know that it's unacceptable, but it doesn't really become a win-win this way, right? Now, however, at the same time, if you bring your daughter over to the side and you explain, I understand that you're upset with your brother. However, breaking your brother's Lego castle was the wrong choice. What better choices could you have made when your brother got you upset? You see the difference? Now you can have a really good dialogue where she can brainstorm some of the things that she could have done better, getting her to now realize that she does have choices in her behaviors. It's going to get much better results that way. Let's use an example. If you're a teacher and you have 2 students fighting in class, or you have a bully in class and he's picking on another kid and the kid turns around and punches him. Well, telling that kid he needs to go to the office or he's in timeout, yelling at him, lecturing him, whatever your natural instincts are not really necessarily going to develop self-discipline, and they're not going to be win-win. Bringing the student to the side, explaining that his action to hit the bully was the wrong action, wrong choice, and asking him what better choices he could have made helps him understand that he does have better choices. It helps become a win-win because now he's engaged in that process of helping recorrect his behavior. I hope that makes sense to you. Let's use another example. If you're a sports coach or a martial arts coach, let's say you're playing a competitive baseball game and one of your athletes throws his bat across the field because your team lost and makes a big scene in front of everybody. Your first instincts may be to give him push-ups or give him a long lecture about sportsmanship. Again, this isn't necessarily a win-win for the student, right? So telling him, your choice to throw the bat when we lost the game was not the right choice. Listen, I don't blame you for being upset for losing because obviously I don't want to lose either, but what are some better choices you could have made when you found out or when we lost? Same thing if you're a martial arts instructor. Let's say you're at a tournament and one of your students is sparring and he loses and he takes his headgear off and throws it across the tournament ring. Obviously, your first instinct is to lecture him about poor sportsmanship, maybe give him push-ups, maybe punish him from competing in tournaments, taking his belt away. All those natural things that us as leaders feel like we need to do to help him develop better discipline, where a win-win would be to bring him aside and say, again, recognizing the feelings, that's very important. Listen, I don't blame you for being upset that you lost. I love that fighting spirit that you have. However, throwing your headgear when you lost was not the right choice. Tell me some better choices you could have had. This way, once again, he recognizes that, yeah, I made a bonehead choice. These are my other options. So I know next time in this particular situation, my goal is to pick one of the better choices. This is where it becomes a win-win because your students are developing self-discipline. Now let's go ahead and switch gears to the final topic that I want to address as far as the benefits of making choices is to help your children make choices in how to repair the poor behavior. So not only do you want them to recognize what better choices they had, but in many situations, they still have somebody else on the other side, chances are, that were affected by this poor choice. So, for example, let's go back to your son and daughter fighting and your daughter breaking your son's Lego castle. So obviously, you're getting her to reflect on the better choices that she could have made, but now saying, how do we repair this poor behavior? Because it empowers them to manage themselves accordingly. So some of the choices that she could do to help repair what she just did was to apologize to your son face to face, help him fix the Lego castle, maybe write him a letter. Things like that will help them understand and process. These are better ways that I can manage my poor behavior. In the teacher situation, let's say that he hits the bully. Asking him, I would like for you to repair this poor behavior. You have two choices. You can go to them and apologize face to face, or you can write them a letter and tell them that you're sorry. Either way, we want to make sure that you repair this damage that you just committed. Does that make sense? I hope it does make sense to you. And let's say, in a particular situation, like with the coach, with the student who threw the bat, or the martial arts instructor, the student in a tournament, and he threw his headgear, you can continue on the same dialogue with them by saying, now let's work on choices on how to repair this poor behavior. Let's process this a little bit more. You can draw a picture about your better choices, write a story about it, depending on the severity of the situation. So again, giving them that option engages them on a little bit more of an opportunity to manage themselves a little bit better and realize that there are repercussions to their actions. So those are my 3 tips on the benefits of making choices. Number 1, get them involved in the decision-making process at home, at school, or in your team sports or at the dojo. Number 2 is getting them to reflect on their poor behavior choices and talk about some better choices. And then number 3, figuring out how to repair poor behavior by giving them choices such as apologizing to the person face-to-face, or writing them a letter, or drawing a picture about what they did wrong, or writing a story about what they did wrong and what they could do better. Those are all great techniques that are positive and they're win-win. That's what we're all about. Remember, the goal is to help children become better versions of themselves, and the more positive approach you can take, I firmly believe the better results you're going to get. So this is Melody Shuman signing out with Melody Shuman Breaks It Down. Everybody, thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you have a great day.